diving into the world of sustainable luxury fashion with Shafaque Ali, the visionary founder of Shafaque. She's already made waves internationally, showcasing her contemporary craft-forward designs from Mumbai to Moscow, Madrid and Paris. Her label Shafaque draws inspiration from its name, dawn or first light, symbolizing a fresh beginning in eco-conscious, artisan-driven fashion. Shafaque's philosophy thrives on connection, the fusion of individuals, cultures and creativity. And in this episode, we'll explore her journey, her global perspective on craft and sustainability, and how she's ready to create fashion that is both beautiful and responsible. Hi Shafaque, how are you?
Very well, thank you so much. Blending in with Dubai weather.
Thank you for being with us today, and it's going to be a pleasure speaking with you.
Likewise.
Shafaque, to begin with, can you tell me a little bit about your brand?
Sure. Shafaque is a craft-first premium label coming from India. We are amalgamating intelligent textile from India with the contemporary artisanal silhouettes, which is globally resonant with women of all kinds.
From what we've known, you've trained in Florence, and then you've also worked in New York. There's quite a lot of saying on the internet where people say that fashion and the Western fashion, the Western influence fashion, there's quite a huge difference. So I want to know from you, how do you ensure that the international exposure has also transformed the way you look into your designs and your love for Indian craftsmanship?
Right, it's a brilliant question. So my trajectory in Florence at Polimoda in Italy started with design first principle, where I focused on form perspective, and my journey in New York with Hugo Boss gave me the metrics on market fit and scalability. Returning to India, of course, it was, moving from India to Europe to America was a life-changing journey where you had multiple aspects in fashion, luxury and so on. But India taught me the soul, right? Coming back to Mumbai and going back to my roots, actually we started working with NGOs like Khamir and so on, starting in Bhuj in Ahmedabad. Then I went to Jaipur and Bihar, Jharkhand, where I come from. I realized there is unmatched potential of artisans and weavers, and we had to bring it in a way where my personal story also comes in the picture. And that's how the translation from global experience to artisanal roots started with Shafaque. And talking about how it's going forward, recently I represented India as a youth delegate at the United Nations Forum in Geneva last month on 23rd, and as a youth speaker also at WIPO, which is the World Intellectual Property Organization. I think there is a lot of preference and emphasis given on youth-led organizations. So Shafaque today stands at the intersection of craft, sustainability, fashion, and also is very important because people and the government and policy makers are really focusing on youth-led enterprises, because all we need is credit access, and I think there isn't much where we cannot do. So this is what we're doing right now.
You spoke about sustainability, and sustainability is quite the buzzword. So how does Shafaque keep setting itself apart from the other brands in the market?
Right. Talking about the journey of the label, it's been 1.5 years in the market now, ever since we launched at BRICS Fashion Summit in Russia, Moscow, where we did our first trade show. And then coming back to India, we did a few diplomatic showcases, mainly private. And also recently, last year, I had the opportunity to do a fashion show at the ambassador's residence in Madrid with the Embassy of India under the patronage of the ambassador, Mr. Dinesh Patnaik. And it was certainly a milestone, coming as a young designer from India and taking it to Russia and to Madrid, and also in Paris, we had a small showcase. It's a very short journey, but the milestone is definitely large, right, in terms of achieving the validation of market or people that we were focusing on. It definitely proves that, okay, we are here to stay and we must build on the dream that I did once when I came back to India. So talking about the standpoint or what makes us different, I always believe that we as designers who have had the privilege or an opportunity to move across borders, it's a huge responsibility on us, being an Indian especially, that we bring the craft heritage and take it out to the world and tell it in the true manner. So even when we talk about global diplomacy or fashion diplomacy, you know, being on youth forums perhaps has led me to think that there has to be an amalgamation of policymakers, diplomatic world, Indian craft and fashion, and everything has to merge together in order to make sense. So there are very many designers in the world who are working with artisans across India, but since we want to make a global footmark, we would want to talk and really talk about the artisans behind the scenes, right? So the day we started, we have been very transparent about who are the artisans in the making, who are the craft clusters who are involved in our collection. For example, the first collection, which was Transcend, we were working with mushroom artisans and Kala cotton and natural indigo, which is specifically coming from Gujarat. So we were talking about the artisans and we were talking about the craft and its heritage. So the amalgamation between the West and East while making the transparent and ethics in place is what makes us unique and just relevant. I think we don't want to be ahead or below or something like that. We just want to be relevant, and we want to give you future forward high performance garment which tells a story which is rooted from the heritage where I come from. Yeah.
There's a lot you spoke about the brand, the global expansion that you're eyeing, from where it started. When was the time in life you actually realized you want to be a fashion designer?
So to be honest, when I was 5 and my mom used to teach me garment construction. So my mother was very good with pattern making, and I learned how to make clothes for dolls at the time. But moving forward, obviously I never knew the agenda. I never knew that, okay, this is where my calling is, because initially I was doing commerce and I was working with a SaaS startup in Bangalore. So I was a marketing tech person, and then I sort of thought that, okay, there is a calling for making clothes for people and also putting in my story in there. So without any formal degree at the time, I moved and took a leap of faith and came to Mumbai at NIFT and started my journey there, and it has been a journey ever since. I went to Polymoda and I got a job in New York, and in the past 2 years we've done some international collaborations. So I think when you really want something, the universe really conspires you to bring it forward to that. That's what happened with me.
Yeah. You spoke a lot about global expansion. I want to know from you, can you share a moment when you realized that the global market actually values Indian textiles as much as you do?
Right. At a recent presentation at WIPO in Geneva, we were discussing about textile material science and how it's not just culturally relevant but also provenance and workmanship towards Indian artisans is shifting in the past few years, especially after COVID, right? So I think that's the time when I heard the other representatives of the countries talking about Indian craftsmanship at large, and especially at a global forum, that this has already made a huge shift. And it was just credit where due. It was not like we've not been doing this business since forever. It's been 3,000 years we've been practicing certain craft and forms, and only now people have come to realize and appreciate the value that we have, because there is certainly a premium value and the competitive advantage in handmade textiles or garments or arts, right? And that's when I think the shift happened. But also lately in India, in the past 3 years, you've seen how Nita Mukesh Ambani Cultural Center opened up, and almost so many events from at international luxury fashion houses opened, to Dior show that happened at the iconic place in India. So these kind of cultural shifts have been happening, and it's better late than never. It's better late than never. So perhaps this is the time to really go for it.
You spoke about premium pricing. You spoke about market competition. So I want to know from you, with a very tough competition all over the world when it comes to fashion,
Right.
how difficult is it for someone to invest in a fashion brand?
If you're talking about sustainability at large, or how difficult it is to survive as a craft-led fashion startup like myself in today's market, well, having said that, we've been in the market since 1.5 years now, right? So we're still learning and growing and developing our basic foundational structure and trying to adhere to the policies and norms that India or Europe has, because one of our markets is India, UAE and Europe. But I think moving forward, the buyers and retailers who are onboarding brands are giving a huge emphasis on provenance and workmanship. So yes, sustainability does matter. According to a recent report from PwC in the last year, I think, the Voice for Consumers, around 9 to 10% higher percentage is what people are willing to pay for a sustainably led, organic product, that is, which could be fashion, lifestyle, accessories and so on. So I think if you have a right story, and if you message it well, and if you convey the story well, and today in the times of transparency and ethics and so on, if all these things work together, then I think it's not that difficult. But yes, as I said, we are new in the market and we are still trying to find our voice and niche. And but the kind of support I got from the clients, let's say from Europe or India, I think it's only because of the authenticity of the story that I had, right? And the trajectory of the experience that we've built over the years. So it's not that hard to, put a product out, but just right place, right time, right people always make sense. And to be leading with integrity, of course. Yeah.
Let's talk about the UAE. You're soon going to be dipping your feet in the UAE's fashion and luxury market. What are the plans? What's the strategy on the go?
Right. Well, it's been a few days in Dubai and I'm absolutely loving it here. I also attended a few events from, Women's of the Year award from Emirates, and I had the chance to showcase my designs to some women from this region, specifically Emirati women. And I believe that, India and UAE have one thing in common, and that is the culture that we are so proud of. So we both have deep heritage that we would like to take forward, and we do not shame or shy away from that. So my idea is to amalgamate the Indian soul with UAE heritage and so on, and give climate sensitive garments, which I think people are very, very aware of here. As you can see that, sustainability is really important in everything that is going on in terms of developments across the region. Talking about our expansions in the UAE, we will be speaking with a few retailers and multi-stores here to project our brand, and also have some pop-ups or even pre-launch events that are in the pipeline for now.
When it comes to fashion in the UAE, we have like a lot of abayas, those long gowns and pastel colors and all that. So with Shafaque coming in, do you plan on bringing like a UAE-centric twist to your designs as well?
Right. So I'm currently working on the collection, which we will be launching in January in UAE, hopefully. So the idea is to amalgamate the Gulf minimalism into neutral silhouettes and also colors that is reflective of climate-sensitive textiles. Since we're living in high heat climates, right, and we will be reinterpreting Indian embroideries with a minimal touch and Gulf minimalism in terms of silhouettes and architectures. So yes, there will be a slight modulations in our garments, which will be premium ready to wear to made to order pieces. Not very traditional, because we love the playful act in between that, and that's how it gives us the contemporary touch. So yes, we will be taking inspiration from the heritage of the country and blending it well with the Indian artisanal textiles.
Shafaque, if you could design one dream project anywhere in the world, be it blending luxury, culture, premium designs and textiles, what would that be?
Well, I'd love to bring a global craft lab in India, where the Indian master artisans and Japanese textile artists and maybe mill engineers from Italy, like basically a place for R&D where all of us specialists come together and work on different textiles and technicalities, perhaps making it like a platform to advance our innovations. So that would be the larger than life goal, and maybe perhaps in the next 5 to 10 years we might see that happening.
And inshallah.
Inshallah, yes.
I'm very curious, with the kind of global exposure you have at this age, I'm saying it out loud, do you still think that people still consider Indian fashion to be only restricted to lehengas or maybe just embellishments?
That narrative is shrinking fast. From what I've seen in the past few months, especially I was attending Milan Fashion Week and Paris Fashion Week earlier this year, and people's narrative towards Indian fashion have seemingly changed, let's say, because of the world fashion leaders like Rahul Mishra and so on, because the way the designers have blended and mastered the art of Indian textiles in a way that is so globally resonant, not just in the European market but all over the world, is just mind-blowing. So yes, there still has a little, what do you say, thing in the head that if you are an Indian brand coming from India, you must be making ethnic clothing. In my case, it happened in the beginning because I was facing, of course, a lot of these questions that okay, it must be Indian if you're using Indian textiles, and that's why my narrative is to tell the audience that listen, we are reinterpreting Indian textiles into a very contemporary, globally resonant silhouette or style and so on, right? And you can see it in our cuts. For example, I'm wearing this collection piece from Release, which we will be putting out next month. So this special fabric is khadi, and it's also hand woven, it's also naturally dyed, and it's also hand wood block printed, coming from its artisanal heritage from Kutch. So you would not know this if it's just sitting in Paris or Milan, right? Or it's made in Mumbai. So it's about the way you tell the story, in between the breathable cuts, in between the colors, in between that. So it's the play in between color, cuts and the story you tell. So it's changing rapidly, I think, and especially when fashion shows are happening in India and there's so many collaborations happening at large. For example, Milano Fashion Week collaborated with Lakme Fashion Week. The designers are coming to India, from accessories to shoes to apparel. So that perception is changing, but that is still there. So I think that's why I always say I don't want to be the first or that and all. At least I'm in between with all the other designers who are doing this thing, because India is a huge country and there's so many artisans. Only when a community comes together, change can happen at impact.
And how do you see Shafaque evolving? You mentioned it's just been 1.5 years since you've started this journey. So where do you see Shafaque in the next couple of years, let's say 5 years?
So our ambition is very simple: to make a profitable business which proves that heritage-led businesses like ours is scalable, and while uplifting artisans from our country, preserving the heritage, culture, and moving forward with a foundation that is authentic, real, and is very relevant for the next 100 years or so.
Thanks, Shafaque, and it's been a wonderful chat with you, and I wish you all the luck and love with everything that you are going to be bringing to the UAE's fashion scene and all the dreams that you have planned for your future as well.
Thank you so much. Alhamdulillah, this was such a wonderful interview, and it's lovely to talk to you.
Likewise.
And I'm so excited to be in Dubai very soon.